Hello and welcome to Gardening at 58 North. In this video I'd like to give you an update on two of my plants which I have been doing a series about recently. So I've actually shown this in a previous video and I'll put the link in for that video in the description below. And this is actually a chrysanthemum plant which I had as a cut flower in a flower bouquet. It was growing really well. I thought the flowers are lasting a lot longer than normal because they were lasting about a month or so. So I had a look, they were actually growing roots. And I've cut them off the stem and they had a little bit of leaf just like this here. Basically it only had these two little bits of leaf here. This one only had that little ball of leaf. This hasn't really done a lot since. But yeah, it's sat in there and it's done quite well. There are roots coming out the bottom. I'm not sure if you can really see them on the camera. They're very, very small roots. It's this very fine little white one here. And there's a couple more down there, but very hard to show, I think. Very small roots on the chrysanthemums, but it's definitely taken. It's definitely growing well, because you can see here this fresh growth. All this growth is new. As I say, it was only growing to this height and all this new growth has grown. And it's looking really healthy, really lush. So I'm gonna have to put this in its own pot at some point soon, because it's growing so well. And hopefully come autumn time, these are gonna flower. Chrysanthemums only flower once the autumn comes, so it's going to be quite a long wait until these flower, but that's quite a good thing actually, because it means the plant's going to get quite a good size, and it needs to be a good size because these are large flowers on this chrysanthemum plant, so it needs to be a good size to support those flowers. Hopefully this one's going to survive. It does actually have roots and it hasn't died yet, so hopefully what's going to happen is this one's going to do the same as this one, and it's just going to shoot up and put out a stem and be a healthy new plant as well. So the other plant here is my aloe vera plant. This one I have done several videos on, and I'll put them all in the bottom of this video in the description again. And this one I actually potted up as a bonsai. And for some reason the roots just didn't take. I actually potted it up as the cutting, and because aloe veras grow so well from cuttings, I thought there's 100% chance it's going to grow, it's going to be fine. But for some reason it just didn't grow roots, and the bottom of it rotted off. Even with me being really careful with watering, it still rotted off. I'm not too sure why. I think it might have been because this was actually sitting outside, sitting in a dark place for about 3 months, completely shriveled up and dried, and it pretty much ran out of all energy, didn't even have the energy to put roots out. So what I did is I cut off the rotten part, exposed some fresh stem, and then put this in a glass of water. I also put flower feed, which is the kind of stuff this was growing in, which is basically just sugar to give it energy, and it has some citric acid in it which just kills off any bacteria which will start growing in the sugar. So I did a time lapse of that, and that's in the description as well, and you can see it starts to swell up, starts to get some more moisture into it. Once that had swelled up properly, I cut off the bottom of that stem again, let it dry out for a couple of days, popped it in here, and it's now actually growing some roots, so it's time to go into its own pot, because I think I want to keep the chrysanthemums in here, in this pot, and then this aloe vera in a new pot. So if I scrape back carefully, you can actually see some nice young yellow roots coming out there. There's at least 2, and I think there could be more deeper down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully take this out and see what roots we've got. So I'm just going to be very careful. Hopefully they won't snap too many. So there we are, you can see quite a few nice healthy roots. A little bit of infection in the bottom there, but I don't think there's anything to be too concerned about. So we've got 3 nice roots coming out the very bottom and 2 much longer roots coming out the top. Now because I'm wanting this to become a bonsai, I'm actually wanting to plant this so it has a bit of a stem, so it looks a bit like a tree. So I'm going to plant this just below this root level here, so that the roots here are covered and they're going to live, but these roots are going to do better because they're deeper. So I'll probably like scrape away some of the compost over time so these roots don't get as much soil, and these roots are going to be the ones that take off eventually. But just in case these roots don't work, I do want these covered as well. So I'm just going to put it in a simple 9cm pot, because at the moment I don't have any bonsai pots with me, and also it's a bit more tricky for this to establish in a bonsai pot, as they're very shallow pots, and this is actually probably too deep for a bonsai pot to work. So put a bit in to begin with. This is a mixture of some cacti compost I had left over, a little bit of peat compost because I didn't have enough cacti compost, and quite a bit of grit as well to add a bit of drainage because they like it free draining. So that should be about enough. Just going to pop that in there, sprinkle it around. I'm not actually going to fill the pot up particularly high. The reason for that is I'm going to put this in the bonsai pot eventually. So if I have too much soil in here, it's going to be quite difficult to make it go back into a bonsai pot, because if anyone knows bonsai pots, they're very thin, they're put in about that kind of thickness, the soil level. So if I fill this right up, trying to get that pot into a pot that thick, it's going to be very difficult. So there we are. So I'll give that good water now, leave it in a sunny position, and hopefully that's going to do quite well. I think it will, but aloe vera is a very easy plant to grow. And now I've got roots growing on this, doesn't seem to be too much rot left. What's going to happen is these leaves are going to swell up with all the water it's going to start absorbing, put on some new growth, and then once it's really established with a good root system, then I can put it in a bonsai pot, and hopefully we'll start the process again of becoming a bonsai. So there we are, that's my chrysanthemum and my aloe vera plant. I'll keep you guys updated with how these two do. I'm pretty confident these are now going to survive. This one still isn't 100%, it's still not showing much signs of growth, but I think it is going to grow. I think it'll be just fine. I'll just be like this one. This one was the same until about a week ago, no growth. So for the first month of this being in the soil, it was just like that, didn't do anything. And then suddenly this shot up in the space of a week. So I think this will do the same. And this will probably need repotting in a few weeks' time. And this one hopefully in a month or two, once it's got a good root system, I can put it in a bonsai pot. So there we are, that's my chrysanthemum, which I took from a cutting from a flower, and my aloe vera.